What does this mean? What does it all mean? Hello everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful day. And today guys, we're going to be going over everything that was said in the letter from the director from Liza P. It was a video that they released yesterday. It was an absolutely fantastic video. I'd highly recommend you guys go check it out, especially if you are a fan of the Liza P game. It was a really good video. The director kind of just showed some transparency and was just very happy with the way that the game is going and also announcing some upcoming changes. But the main big reveal, the big meaty reveal that came towards the end of the video was when the lead developer teased some new images from the upcoming DLC. Yes, if you guys did not know, Liza P is getting a DLC, and yes, they're also getting a sequel, which, spoiler alert, I mean, this video is going to be a lot of spoilers, so just heads up. But big spoiler alert is I think the sequel is definitely going to be The Wizard of Oz, because they showed Dorothy at the end credits scene, and I think that's definitely going to be the sequel. But the DLC I think is still going to be the Pinocchio story. I'm going to be giving some theories on why I think that is the case. Now I will leave a timestamp in the video where I do start talking about the DLC images, but I do want to talk about all the upcoming changes that the lead developer did mention in the video. So the lead developer did mention that we will be getting a patch in November, and with this patch is going to be bringing a lot of quality of life changes to the game. One of the biggest notable one is rising dodge is going to be default. Everyone is going to have it by default. No longer will you need to put quartz in it to unlock it. You are going to have rising dodge by default, because they mention it in their video as well, that a lot of people didn't like Pancake Bot when you get knocked down by him and he just keeps flattening you like a fucking pancake. Not fun. So, and the rising dodge does help with that a lot, so it is going to be default just so the early stages of the game don't feel so frustrating. That is a massive W. Now they did say that they are going to be bringing a balance patch for all of the weapons that are underperforming. They think that they love that people are really enjoying the weapon assembly mechanic, and they just feel like there's some weapons that aren't performing as well as other weapons, so they are going to be bringing in a balance patch. They don't state specifically what weapons are in a balance, but a balance patch will be coming for some weapons. Now when you unlock Polydina's shop for the first time, you will have 2 new quartz available to you. So I think now we get 30 quartz in one playthrough. So again, this is going to further help the early stages of the game, with a lot of people saying that the early stages were very difficult. Well, now that you get rising dodge already unlocked and you get 2 extra quartz as soon as you unlock Polydina's shop, that's huge. That is definitely going to make the early stages of the game like feel a lot smoother. And on top of that, they are bringing some new cosmetic items to the game as a bit of a thank you and reward to all of us that actually played the game. So they're going to be adding in the Alidoro costume, the full costume, and also the alchemist top hat and the alchemist glasses. I think that is very cool. It's very nice to see them add these additional costumes into the game. I thought it was really friggin' weird that we didn't have Alidoro's costume. I was really excited that we might actually get that, and we didn't. So it is good that it is going to be added into the game with the November patch. So that was basically it for all the changes that are going to be coming with the patch in November. Now for the main event. The main event we all came here for is the DLC images that they leaked in the video. Now it's got everyone racing around trying to piece together what the DLC might actually be. Now I might have some theories to go with some people's speculation. So we have 2 images that were shown. The first one is kind of where we can see P on 2 ships, and then the second one is we can see P again at kind of like some control board or something in what looks like a massive water pump room thing, sort of. Well, there is one thing we can confirm from looking at both 2 images, is the first image, I thought originally we were like fucking in the air. We were like in space or something. I thought this down in the left corner was like land, and we were up in the air because of the sky, and it just looks like the ships are suspended. But on further examination, and also some other people noting that I don't think we're in space, it does look like we're on the ocean, but it has frozen. So this bit that I thought looked like land and we're like really high up, this is ice. This is all frozen. I noticed that the ship was frozen, but you know, I thought high altitudes, it's cold up there, you know, whatever. But no, it does look like we're on a bunch of ships that have been frozen in the ocean. And then the second image, you know, kind of verifies that again by showing this massive water pump room that looks frozen. So one thing I think is safe to assume is that we're going to be seeing a new element inside of the DLC, it looks like it's going to be ice/frost. I'm assuming that we're going to get this element. The other enemies are also going to be wielding this new element, I think. And to further push this idea, we only have fire, lightning, and decay/acid in the game, and nowhere else do you see another element. There's always fire, there's always lightning, there's always acid or decay. There's no wind or ice or water or anything like that. It is mainly those three elements that are kind of predominant throughout the whole entire game. So seeing that they're showing ice in the ocean, or that these boats are frozen, is probably going to be maybe foreshadowing that a new element is coming. Now, point number 2, I think the ships are significant, and I'm going to show you why I think the ships are significant. This could be me grasping at some straws here, but bear with me. So at the end credit scene, when you finish Lies of P, you get this scene with Perselius. He is the alchemist guy, the weird scared alchemist guy that didn't really seem like he was all who he was. That appeared to be true at the end. He is Perselius. He seems like he's part of this external organization that's kind of puppeteering or monitoring everything that's going on in the main game of Lies of P. Now, the one notable thing at the end credit is pretty much in nearly half the shot is a picture right behind Perselius's head, and it's a ship. It's a ship on a water with a whole bunch of people like sitting on the beach, or maybe on another ship looking at the ship. Either way, there's this ship, and funny enough, you know, this ship looks like it has a whole bunch of masts. This ship looks like it has a whole bunch of masts. There's 3 masts. Whether this is significant to this speculation or not, but at the intro cutscene as well, there is also a ship, and it also has 3 masts, which is exactly the same as this ship in the picture next to Perselius's head. I do know that the ship in the intro, it kind of like cuts away and shows that they're finding the Ergo under the city for the first time. So that could just be showing that. But again, we're seeing this ship and we're seeing it again next to Perselius's head. So maybe this is foreshadowing something with the DLC. I don't know. It could just be me grasping at straws, but ships that are inside of Lies of P, even though we don't really see a ship or go anywhere near the water. All right, point number 3. I did see a lot of people also point this out, but in the first image, if you look on the bow of the other ship, the one that P isn't on the bow, which is the front of the ship, you can see what looks to be like a yellow statue, a yellow figure, like right on the end of that ship. There is speculation that this could be the yellow stargazer, similar to the yellow stargazer you do see in Path of the Pilgrim. Right at the start, as soon as you see the little graveyard, there's a weird yellow stargazer you can't interact with. There's a little bird on there, it just flies away. That's it. This could be a yellow stargazer. It's very hard to make out what this is. It could just be a fucking pole or a statue, but either way, it seems like a very odd placement for a pole or a statue to be at the front of the ship. But then again, these ships kind of have just crashed, so who knows. But it does look like it has some sparkles around it. Maybe it could be the yellow stargazer. I still think it's something worth noting, because again, there is something yellow at the front of the boat, but it is really hard to make out. But it kind of does look like the yellow stargazer if you kind of like look far away and maybe squint a little bit. I don't know. It's really hard to make out what it is, but I thought it was worth noting that. So now, where do I think this DLC is going? Where are we heading in this DLC? Well, I actually have a theory on that, and you might want to buckle in, because this is going deep. I went deep on this one. Again, it could be me just grasping at a lot of different straws, but I feel like there's too many similarities here to ignore. So in the actual story, the actual adventures of Pinocchio, so if you go to chapter 23, there's some very interesting similarities with how Lies of P actually ended. In chapter 23, the actual story of Pinocchio goes back home and he realizes that the blue fairy, the Azura fairy, is not there anymore. He goes over to a house and sees a tombstone. It reads, "Here lies the child with the blue hair who died from sorrow because she was abandoned by her little brother Pinocchio." Now, in the Lies of P game story, when you get to the end, we meet Sophia for real this time. And she ain't looking too good. She's shrunk up, she's a mess. And she's basically on a deathbed. And you get the option to let her keep living in friggin' agony, or to let her live in peace, which is to, kill her. So already some similarities with, both blue fairies in both stories passing away. And then another similarity, and again, it might be a bit of a stretch, but if you look at the first photo and you look at the top section of that photo, you'll notice that in the top right-hand corner, it's very dark. And then in the left-hand corner, it's kind of nice and bright. You can kind of see the aurora skies, which again, I think symbolizes that it's cold. But the reason I bring this up is the reason I think it looks so dark in the top right corner is maybe a massive storm has swept over Krat, and this is the reason why stuff has started to freeze. Now again, there is some reference or similarities to the actual Pinocchio story about a storm. In the Pinocchio story, Pinocchio is trying to find Geppetto, Geppetto is trying to find Pinocchio, they both lost each other, and it's basically the whole story. Pinocchio goes on this adventure while he's trying to find Geppetto, his father. When you get to chapter 24, Pinocchio does eventually catch up to Geppetto, but Geppetto's already set sail looking for Pinocchio, didn't realize that he was like literally right behind him. But because Geppetto is so determined to find Pinocchio, he has set sail out in a vicious storm, and Pinocchio has gone out into the ocean because he's very flamboyant, because he's made out of wood, to try and get to Geppetto. And because of the massive storm that is going on, he ends up getting washed up somewhere else. And why am I mentioning all of this? Well, I feel like this is what's going to set up the DLC. Again, this is all speculative, this is all assumption. I don't have any actual facts. I'm trying to just put 2 and 2 together here. And I feel like this is going to take us to the land of busy bees and also the land of toys, which I know a lot of people have been hoping that we do have a DLC on that. Now I know you're probably scratching your head thinking, land of the bees, what the hell is that? I've never heard of that before. Well, funny enough, that is where the main plot of the Pinocchio story takes place, the one that everyone knows, where they both get swallowed by the massive monstro whale, and then they, Pinocchio saves Geppetto on the whale, they get out, they live happily ever after. Well, this time in the real story, it's not a whale, it's actually a shark, and it's called the terrible dogfish. The land of busy bees is where Pinocchio first learns about this terrible dogfish, and a dolphin tells him that he's pretty sure that Geppetto has been swallowed by this shark. And then more interestingly enough, at the very end of chapter 24, the very end, Pinocchio is starving, he's on the land of busy bees, he wants to try and work, we want to try and get some food and water, but he doesn't want to work for it because he's a lazy piece of shit. But eventually he bumps into a woman and she wants him to carry her water jugs back home. He doesn't want to do it, so she bribes him with food, he still doesn't want to do it, she keeps sweetening the deal, and eventually he does it. He gets there, he absolutely smashes his meal, and then he finally takes a good look at the woman, and he realizes that it is the blue fairy. So long story short, the blue fairy isn't actually really dead. She just tricked Pinocchio because Pinocchio abandoned her and she wanted to teach him a lesson. But it is interesting enough that the blue fairy does return in chapter 24. So I'd be interested to see if they can just make Sophia come back as a puppet form, or is there other fairies we don't know about? Now, this arc in the Pinocchio story eventually leads us to the land of toys, or Toyland. And funny enough, in the Disney films, they decided to call it Pleasure Island. Like, fuck me. It sounds like Jeffrey Epstein is going to be escorting us to this island. Like, it's an island for kids, and Disney was like, yeah, Pleasure Island sounds good. Now, all jokes aside, the big giveaway that kind of does show that we might actually be going to the land of toys, or Toyland. So now if you head over into the gallery section and inspect the black cat, you'll notice that his spear weapon says Toyland on the sign. This is obviously a signpost that's broken off and he's now using it as his weapon. And it does say Toyland on the actual sign itself. Again, is this just referencing Toyland? Or is this again foreshadowing that we might be going to Toyland or Land of the Toys? Now in the story, the Land of the Toys or Toyland, it sounds like a fantastic place to be as a kid, doesn't it? Toyland, toys everywhere, everyone gets to play and have free will and no parents, no law, yippee! Well, there's actually a dark, sinister meaning behind the Land of the Toys, and they just want kids to go there because they get infected with the donkey fever. And then they turn into a donkey because they're living on free will, they're enjoying themselves, but they're not being bound by rules or going to school. So anyone that's on this island that isn't listening to rules or going to school that gets infected with this donkey fever. So they're basically tricking kids to go there just so they can become donkeys so they can sell. Yeah, how fucked up is that? So I can already see NeoWiz maybe spinning this in a really cool way, or maybe even giving us a look into Sophia's past. Because I'm just going to throw an idea out there. Maybe if we do go to the Land of the Toys, maybe instead of them trying to get kids there so they become donkeys, maybe they're trying to get kids there so they can experiment with them, so they can try and turn them into what Sophia was. Maybe this could be Sophia's origin story where we learn how Sophia became to be the way she is, and maybe there might be other versions of these fairies, because there's a lot of references in the Lies of P game where people are seeing this blue fairy And it could just be Sophia because she's traveling through time to try and find P to, you know, keep going on with the story. But it also raises the question, are there other fairies we don't know about? Could this land of toys be where they're experimenting on kids and making them into what Sophie is like? So again, I'd like to clarify, this is all speculative. This is all speculation. I'm just assuming what the DLC would be about. There are a lot of telltale signs on what is probably going to be in the DLC, like the ice and ships and on the ocean. Even the dev mentions that it's just the tip of the iceberg. We shall see. Like all these sort of like just play on words. It does really seem like we're obviously going to be on a boat. We're going to be looking for something or doing something. I don't know. But there's also a big question on, will we actually get to see a big shark like in the story of Pinocchio? Another question as well is Perseus. The lady does mention to him that she needs to get the hand back, that arm back, which I think they're referring to the arm of God. So maybe we'll see Perseus come back and try and get the arm, and then that will set up a whole another arc because you'll start learning about this organization. I don't know. Either way, it's got me very hyped, very excited for the Liza P DLC whenever we do get it. All I hope is that they take their time, man. Just cook, boys. Just let the dev cook. I'm sure they're going to cook us up a very, very tasty meal when they drop this DLC. It's exactly the same as FromSoft. When they do eventually finish the Elden Ring DLC, I'm sure it's going to be friggin' amazing. Same with the Liza P DLC. I'm curious to know what your guys' thoughts are on these two images. What are your speculations? What are your opinions on what the DLC could actually be? And also, do you agree with my opinions and my theories, or am I just blowing steam at my ass? Just let me know in the comment section. Appreciate all the love and support as always, guys. And until next time, stay safe. Peace out.